Kyle Schwarber, the 2025 Major League Baseball All-Star Game MVP, hit 3 home runs in his 3 swings in the first ever swing-off in All-Star Game history. Welcome to episode 200 of ATL Prime Sports. I'm JJ Jurjevich. Joining me is the whole gang this evening. My fabulous producer, Wayne Ridenauer, in wonderful Memphis, Tennessee. Got the PA voice of the Rome Emperors, Larry Gardner. And, of course, TC Todd Corder. And the whole gang, again, is with us. You can catch us all at ATL Prime Sports on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, and, of course, Apple and Spotify. As always, if you like the content, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and follow us across the board at that ATL Prime Sports. Our personal X's at JJ Get You One for myself, at RWY Jr. for Wayne, at TC Todd Corder, at Corder Todd for TC Todd Corder, at LG the number 4 Real though for Larry Gardner. And Larry, how you doing this evening, buddy?
I am doing wonderful, gentlemen. It has been such a long time since I've been able to be on with you guys behind the microphone for, it feels like a solid month, but we are on a 2-week break, one thanks to the All-Star Game that you aforementioned, JJ, and then we've got another break coming up because they're on a 2-week road trip. But everybody is doing well. It is a much needed and well-deserved break, but I am excited to get into the college football season because it is knocking on the door here. So everything's well up here in Northwest Georgia. Thank you for asking.
Wayne, how you doing, buddy?
Well, listen, I'm doing a lot better now than I was last Monday. Not this past Monday, but coming back from the 4th of July festivities in Hume, Missouri. Ended up having a blowout and used up all my luck on that blowout because I was not around any big 18-wheelers. I wasn't on a turn or anything. And so luckily when it blew out, I was able to just ease over to the side, change the tire, deal with that, and keep moving. But so no, I can't be betting on any games this week or probably for the next 4 months.
Wayne, we're glad you're okay, man. Todd, how are you this evening, buddy?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Thanks for asking. Good to be on. Can't wait for the night's show. Can't wait to talk about Major League Baseball, the SEC, supposedly the nation's #1 conference. They haven't been the last 2 years. And then, of course, the Atlanta Falcons. And history is about to repeat itself like it does every year. That's a tease. Stay tuned. I am the voice of Clayton State University. Thank you all for having me.
I'm doing great. I'm still on cloud 9. After last night's All-Star game, I was given a free ticket to the game from my brother-in-law, Aaron. So thank you very much for that. What a game. I got to see Acuna get an infield hit, score a run. The Battery, Truist Park, Atlanta. They all outdid themselves. They did not disappoint, and the National League won via the new swing-off home run derby, whatever you want to call it. That's why I got this stupid little chain. This bad boy drink was about $30.
Woo!
So, yeah, I'm keeping it, and we're going to hang it up there for all the YouTubers to see. But, yeah, that was absolutely awesome. A bucket list item checked off, so I'm still riding a pretty good natural high on that one. That was amazing. What's on tap for today's show? With 38 days away from college football, we'll give you our SEC power rankings. As Todd mentioned, we will talk about the Falcons and possibly the accident waiting to happen. I don't think so this year. I think they'll be a little bit better than people expect. I'm not going to world beater, but I'm not as excited as I was last year. We will see. So we'll talk about the Falcons and what we're looking forward to in the second half of the Major League Baseball season. I think Todd and I will agree on one of those. So we'll start off, kick this show off with college football. SEC Media Days are underway here in Atlanta. Our conference fellas, Larry, Todd, and myself, we're having SIAC Media Days down in Macon, Georgia. So it's officially football season. But what does your SEC power rankings look like? And we can have a little discussion here. I'll just go quickly through mine, guys, and then we'll just kind of go quickly through everybody's. I do have Georgia at #1. I mean, they did beat Texas last year with Gunnar Stockton under center So I think until you beat the champs, you got to be the number one team. I got Texas 2, LSU 3, Alabama 4. Doesn't really matter how you put 2, 3, and 4, or really 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think they're all very talented in terms of roster. 5, 6, 7, and 8. I got Florida, South Carolina, Oklahoma, Ole Miss. 9, 10, 11, 12. Tennessee. 7, 8, and 9. Again, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Tennessee, A&M 10, Missouri 12, Missouri 11, Auburn 12, Vandy 13, Arkansas 14, Mississippi State 15. I got lowly Kentucky dead last there. I don't think their recruiting has been up to par. They get the Georgia transfer quarterback, Vandergriff, and he retires with injuries. So I got them in the bottom of the barrel, but that's kind of what mine's looking like. We'll go around, have some fun with this. Larry, what are you looking like, man? And we'll just talk about the SEC and media days in general, man. What's your power rankings looking like? Who you got at the top coming out preseason?
Yeah, man. Preseason, I've got Texas, and the main reason I've got Texas is number one is because I'm on the Arch Manning hype train. Not only that, they are picking the peaches right out of Georgia's backyard, and that's unfortunate. But Steve Sarkisian continues to be the wizard behind recruiting, and the reason behind that, to me, is because everything is bigger in Texas. That means more money, more NIL, more big deep pockets, because that's what it is now. And TC will probably agree with me because college football has literally become minor league football with free agency. That
He's
is
right.
essentially what it has become. And because of that, the teams that are going to have the biggest boosters, who have got the big deep pockets with the big conglomerates that they can get big money in, you're going to start to see those people rise to the top of college football, even if they do try to expand the college football playoff even bigger. But that's a different tangent for a different day. Let's keep moving. I've got Georgia number 2. I think, JJ, you're absolutely right. I think Gunner is ready for the big time and to hand the reins over. I think he's got a couple of kinks he needs to work out, but Georgia's going to be fine. I've got LSU 3 because I think Garrett Nussmeier is probably one of the top 4 quarterbacks in the nation. I do believe that they're going to take a step up from last year. I've got Alabama number 4. I've got, surprise, y'all might laugh, but I got South Carolina at number 5. And I think, and people can laugh at me with this one too, but I think they've got one of the best quarterbacks in the nation too. And
I agree.
We'll talk about him a little bit later. But that's number 5. Depending on the health of DJ Lagway, is why I want to put Florida at number 6, depending on where they want to go. But I think he's there. I got Oklahoma at number 7. Tennessee, I've got them at number 8. I've got Texas A&M. Then I've got Ole Miss. And the only thing about Ole Miss, I want to see if Austin Simmons is going to be able to put up similar numbers to where Jackson Dart did. But I know Lane Kiffin is still going to be Lane Kiffin. I've got Missouri because they lost a whole lot. I don't know what Auburn's going to do with Hugh Freeze and his crazy talking self. Arkansas, Mississippi State, Vandy. And I'm like you, somewhere between Vandy and Kentucky, they can battle it out for whoever going to be the bottom dwellers in the SEC. But my top 5 is what I believe it is. I do believe those top 5 are going to duke it out. And I think it'll be between those top 5 and the top 5 in the Big Ten, and maybe a sprinkle of the Big 12, who are all going to end up in the college football playoff toward the end of the season.
Todd, what you got for your power rankings, man? And you don't have to give everyone, just your top 5, maybe your bottom 5, couple in there, get them all 16. We don't care. We're just having fun.
Here's the thing. I think experience in the quarterback position is really critical. And the 2 teams that are in my top 5, LSU and South Carolina, have the most experience in the quarterback position with Nussmeier and Sellers. And then, of course, we've got Archmania. Alabama, Ty Simpson right now is the guy. And then, of course, Georgia Gunnar Stockton, who, and this is not my order, but Gunnar Stockton, I did one of his games when he was a freshman at Rayburn High School up there, just below the North Carolina line. And this kid, as a freshman, was throwing, 55, 50-yard passes on the dime. So, these are the guys that have the best quarterbacks in the conference. And then you can add Oklahoma in, with John Mateer, the transfer from the ex-Washington State quarterback. And then you look at, I mentioned Oklahoma, DJ Langley at Florida. Ole Miss with their quarterback situation will be interesting. A lot of these teams have got new quarterbacks, and when you have a new quarterback, you have a lot of uncertainty. And with Dart leaving, now it's going to be potentially Austin Simmons' show, the sophomore. So and Tennessee has a new quarterback. That Tennessee quarterback situation to me, guys, it's interesting because it was basically a trade in college football, because their quarterback is Joey Aguilar, who came over from UCLA via the App State. And then, of course, Nico left Tennessee, and he went to UCLA. Of course, Nico started it. He wanted more money from Tennessee, and Josh Heupel and them said, no way, we're not going there. And so he left. And I respect Josh Heupel in Tennessee a lot. I think, actually, when you look at Tennessee's schedule, it's pretty winnable. They can win a lot of games in this conference, and they've won 10 games the last 3 consecutive seasons. So doing all that, I'll give you mine now. I think LSU is the team to beat. They have the most experience at quarterback in Nussmeier. Nobody's really mentioning him with the arch hype to win the Heisman. That's my number 1. My number 2, everybody is counting out the kid Stockton. I'm telling you right now, this kid's a winner. He is a winner, and he's going to win. So I've got LSU. I have Georgia. I have Texas 3. I have Bama 4. I have South Carolina 5, like Larry. I have Oklahoma 6. I have Ole Miss 7. I have Florida 8. I have Tennessee 9. And I tell you what, you could shake a stick. I could actually put Tennessee up in front of Oklahoma if I wanted to, or Ole Miss. I think Tennessee is going to be a major, major surprise and a highly motivated team in the SEC. So after Tennessee, Missouri, then you got Texas A&M, Auburn, State in Auburn, Arkansas, Vandy, Kentucky, and Mississippi State. That rounds out my 16. But once again, to summarize, and I'm sorry if I'm taking too long, gentlemen, the most important position financially is the quarterback, and on the field is quarterback. And when you look at these teams, you've got to have an experienced quarterback to win. And JJ, I like your point. You got to beat the champion to become the champion. And Georgia, technically, they lost a lot of kids, but I think they're going to be very good. Their schedule's brutal. It's flipped JJ from road to home. So this conference, to me, well, it's very exciting as always, and I can't wait to see how it shakes out. You see, LSU's first game, gentlemen, is against Clemson. Oh, that's a wing dinger. Then you've got Florida State.
Let's get Wayne's opinion right quick.
I'm sorry. You got Florida State playing Alabama. I'm sorry, gentlemen. Go right ahead.
Yeah, Wayne, let's get your take, and then we'll open up the conversation a little bit more. Wayne, what you got for your power rankings, man? You got your Tigers up higher than we do?
Well, I tell you, I'm being very realistic, and I'm shutting the heart down for making these picks.
I like it.
But I actually feel like
Auburn too.
Well, I'm only going to tell you my top 5 and where I've got Auburn and South Carolina at. I think LSU is number 1. We got Texas 2, Georgia 3, Florida 4, and Tennessee 5. as far as Auburn and South Carolina, the two teams that are, I guess, my favorites, I'd put them somewhere around 9-10, interchangeable at 9-10. And the rest of the teams, you could just shuffle them up and deal.
I like it. I like it. We are all seems like to be pretty high on Lenore Sellers in Columbia, South Carolina. Exciting football player. Uh, Showed a lot of razzle dazzle down the stretch. Can stay in the pocket, make the big throw as he did against Clemson. He can run, extend that play, throw off platform, make himself look great. He's got some pretty good young wide receivers. Beamer's doing a great job in the recruiting game, and did well in the transfer portal, brought in a couple guys that should add on to the talent level of that program. So I'm very high on Sellers in South Carolina as well. But to me, let's talk about the local dogs and the SEC team here in town, and I'll dig my toes in 10 feet in and 10 toes down, and I'll say, look, all Kirby's done is recruit. All Kirby's done is win. He's nearly 100 games over 500 in his 9-year tenure. And I'm not sure what anybody else is doing and what they're watching, but I saw Gunnar Stockton come in a losing at halftime when the wind was taken out of Georgia's sails after Carson Beck goes down and wins the game in overtime. I saw him have great poise in the Notre Dame game after making a key mistake, getting the troops back together. It seems like they rally around him. It seems like you're going to have more of a rah-rah guy instead of Carson Beck back there. And I'm not going to bad talk the guy because the guy made a business decision and went to Miami, and he's got a pretty good football team down there in South Florida. So I like Georgia. I like C.J. Allen. They got one of the best linebacker corps in the country. Coach Smart got him a stud running back in the portal, and Josh McCray from Illinois. He had 10 touchdowns. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. I think he had 13 receptions to add on a touchdown in that category as well. That adds on to Nate Frazier. It's going to be a really good 1-2 punch. And Georgia's defense, honestly, they didn't play as well as they could at times last year. I can't wait to see what KJ Bolden does. I think there's going to be a couple true freshmen that night play in the secondary. The cornerbacks are going to have an extra year of getting wet in the system and figuring out Schumann's call. I like Georgia. I do. I think they're pride and tested. And when you doubt the dogs, Kirby Smart usually finds a way, just like Nick Saban did, to take that rat poison and turn it into motivation. So I want to see you guys convince me why the dogs aren't the top in this power ranking, because I just don't see. Look, Arch Manning has been behind Quinn Ewers for 2 years. He didn't beat him out for 2 years, and Quinn Ewers was the 7th-round draft pick. So how good is Arch Manning really going to be? Are we just taking this hype train because of the last name? Of course, we've seen the guy play against some subpar talent, but I'm anxious to see this Texas offense this year with Arch Manning at the helm, getting the keys to the Ferrari, and we'll see, because there's no more excuses now. If Steve Sarkisian doesn't do this with this hype train running, I don't know how you win the SEC unless Kirby Smart just gives it to you. Look, fellas, this team's really good. They're built from the defensive side. They run the football. I hope they get back to that because they did not do that well enough last year. I think they will this year. McCray from Illinois is a big key addition, and I think that's a big X factor. I also think not enough people are talking about kind of the addition from subtraction. Colby Young last year got suspended. Cases dropped. Turns out to be not as big of a deal as it was said. Now Colby Young is back, and he's a veteran wide receiver. And Larry, you know Colby from his days at the U. So the guy's a physical wide receiver, a great route runner. That's just what Gunnar Stockton needs. So I'm ready to see this fall. I like the dogs at the top, but let's open up the discussion a little bit. I love Nussmeier too, Todd. Experienced quarterback with Brian Kelly. Seems like Brian Kelly's got a little fire under his seat. I think it's crazy talk that it is. But hey, that's the business we're in, guys. And let's open it up. Let's talk LSU. Let's talk Georgia. Let's have a good SEC conversation and wrap this thing up. Go ahead. We'll go with Larry or Todd. Go ahead. Take it away.
Yeah. So you mentioned it, JJ and TC. I want you to back me up on this. Georgia has always been successful when they can run the football. And unfortunately, for the last couple of years, they have not been able to do so. You had the injuries to ETN. Nate Frazier was hit or miss, and to me, that's always going to be a quarterback's best friend is a successful running game. And Texas has got a 1-2 punch by Trey Wisner and C.J. Baxter back there.
Yes.
It's going to make life very easy for Arch Manning. He ain't going to have to beat nobody else out, and they're going to dominate the play-action game. I think that is going to be what Texas is going to – I think that is going to be what they bank their money on is the play-action game. Georgia, if they can get Frazier, and they can get Young incorporated on the receiving and stop all the drops, because that's what really plagued them really in the passing game.
Good point.
More than anything else was you couldn't catch the football. I don't care how open you are. I don't care how great of a route runner you are. If Gunnar Stockton puts it in your hands and you can't catch it, you can have the second coming of the 1988 San Francisco 49ers offense and on that side of the football, and it's not going to do you any good. So Georgia's got to prove three things to me. Their defense has been stellar ever since the national championship run. I don't think you're going to have too many problems on the defense side of the football other than on the defensive line and on the offensive line. And I think the Notre Dame game showed me that Gunnar Stockton is going to have to be patient and trust his offensive line because Notre Dame forced their will on Georgia in the game. And if you get that happening, Gunnar likes to run. You take a shot or two, and then you're DJ Lagway 2.0. So he's got to be smart about picking his opportunities when to run and when to throw. To me, to Todd's point earlier, Nussmeier to me is the most experienced guy coming back on this SEC gauntlet of a schedule that everybody seems to have. But the defense on LSU side of the football is going to be huge for them. So the West is going to be a gauntlet. The East, to me, is really a two-team race, and depending on how it goes, that really, to me, is Georgia's coup de grace because they really don't have anybody on the East that's going to knock on their door and be successful enough. What Georgia's going to have to find out is after Texas, LSU, doggone, maybe even, I don't know if Oklahoma's going to be good enough what they could be historically speaking, but that the West is a gauntlet.
Well, there isn't even an East or a West anymore, guys. I mean, there's not an East or a West. You either finish first or second. You get in the conference title game. You guys mentioned the offensive line. Look, there's a lot of experience on the offensive line for Texas. I mean, they only have one returning starter from a year ago. Lo and behold, Georgia has one returning starter on the offensive line. And by golly, so does LSU. Bama, on the other hand, has two starters returning on their offensive line, and that's everybody, consensus top four. You look at the defensive line for Georgia, they only have three defenders returning from a year ago. Miller, the nose tackle, Allen, the linebacker, and Everett, the corner. So there's a lot of inexperience on Georgia's team, and they're almost half their roster is made up of freshmen and redshirt freshmen. There's a lot of uncertainties. Now, when you look at this team when they get off the bus, the first thing you think of Georgia's, man, I got some NFL-looking bodies. But so do these four teams. And when you talk about Georgia, I mean, they've got to have Nate Frazier as an emerging star, but he's got to be able to run the ball. And for Georgia to be successful, Larry mentioned it, the play action pass for Stockton has to be there. What the Zachariah Branch, the transfer from Southern Cal, this is a kid that is going to be really important in the offense. We know Georgia's going to have two excellent tight ends, and Oscar Delp and Lawson Lund. There's just no question about that. Tight end, it's something that you look at Georgia and you're thinking the first word I think is Sunday because these kids are going to play. And in Texas, we're going to see. I mean, it's Arch Mania. I mean, they don't have a lot of experience on the line. They do have a running back returning and a wide receiver. That's it. And you look at their defense, they returned five guys on defense from a year ago, but nobody up front. Nobody. So your front four is not returning. So JJ, the point is there's just so much inexperience with these top four teams in the conference, and that includes Alabama. You know, they have a lot of defenders returning. They have and they have 6 offensive players. So, you know, they've got guys returning up front. So if Simpson can get a running game going and Isaiah Horton, their top receiver, and they've got an emerging star on the defensive side of the ball and Bray Hubbard, and, of course, Ryan Williams. We all know what he did to Georgia last year. He was on the old Gruden podcast having a ball. So each one of these teams have question marks. And you know, to me, South Carolina is the wild card. I'm telling you, could they steal this thing? I mean, they could, but they have an experience up front. The top 7, only one guy returns. And they only have two offensive line returns. So it's all the same. There's a lot of question marks between these teams. Thanks to the portal. One more thing, I'm sorry. LSU, you know, was the one that really made big strides in that portal. And LSU had lost 5 straight openers. They're playing Clemson. That's going to set the season tone. If they beat Clemson, and I think they can, even though it's in Clemson, look out for the Tigers. It's going to be a really fun Southeastern Conference season.
Yeah, the thing about Georgia that I'll make my final comment on, and we'll wrap up this SEC conversation, is the 3 toughest road games they had last year are all flip-flop. You got Ole Miss, Texas, and Alabama all at home. Tennessee is on the road. You got a weaker Auburn team, which is always a rivalry game. But everybody forgets Georgia rotated a lot of these guys in last year, so their offensive line, yes, they only returned 1 true starter, but they do have Drew Bobo, who played a lot last year. They do have Daniel Calhoun, who's a redshirt freshman who played a little bit at the end of the last couple games. Ernest Green, who's got some experience. So they have guys who have got experience. I think that helps and trends in the right direction. And again, that schedule, I will hang my hat on that. The Dogs haven't lost at home since 2019, so I'm hanging my hat on the fact that Texas has to go between the hedges. Ole Miss does too, and so does Alabama. And I think Georgia finally gets off the hook with that Alabama game, and hopefully the pressure's lifted. But this is a wide open top 3 or 4. We all had the same top 4, just different directions, different order, whatever you want to call it. And we'll wrap up this conversation, guys. Any final thoughts? Wayne, you want to get one more final thought in before we get out of here? And then I'll give Larry one more final thought too.
No, listen, the only final thought I've got is it took enough for me to pick with my head instead of my heart and put LSU on top. The one surprise team that I'm surprised people hadn't put higher, though, was Tennessee. I think Tennessee is kind of going to be a dark horse, and I wouldn't be surprised if they were up there in that championship game.
You know what,
Very
Wayne?
good point. Larry, finish earlier. Go ahead, Todd.
No, I'm sorry. I want to piggyback on what Wayne said. You look at Tennessee's schedule. Aguilar comes in, the transfer. He plays well. You look at their schedule. This is one of the better SEC schedules on the tote board, and they returned 7 guys on defense a year ago, and their first game right here in Atlanta. They could beat Syracuse, East Tennessee State. If they beat Georgia in week 3, look out. They got UAB, win. After Mississippi State, should win. Arkansas, win. They had Bama, Oklahoma, and Florida. And the rest of them, they can clean clock. And I'll tell you right now, if they get it going with that offense and the defense can carry the way, Aguilar threw more than 6,700 yards and 56 touchdowns in 2 seasons at App State. His problem was interceptions. He cuts down on the turnovers. And with Josh Heupel's, fast break offense, Tennessee is definitely my sleeper in this conference, no question. I'm sorry, Wayne. I wanted to piggyback on that for you.
All right.
Now you're good, Larry. Get the final thought in for the SEC, man, and we'll take it to the Falcons.
No, y'all have all had some great points. Mine simple is don't beat each other up
Yeah.
until you get to the college football playoff, because Big Ten, I mean, don't hate TC. 4 teams at best might have a shot to make it. After that, they can cupcake schedules all across the board. So, they may get to a point to where they have beaten each other up to their normal strength of schedule and conference schedule. That by the time they get to bowl season, anything can happen. I'm just excited, man. I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
Well, I want to finish this because this is important. I don't know if you guys know that. The Big Ten will not back off its preferred college football playoff format for 26, guaranteeing 4 Big Ten auto qualifiers unless the SEC decides to add a 9th league game. I'm telling you right now, there's no way Big Ten Commissioner Tony Batiti is moving off 4 AQs. That's what a source said, meaning all-team playoff likely is going to return for next season. And if I may say, in terms of, I made a tweet at Corder Todd. Now, I don't know what you guys think, and I'd like your answer on it. I think the only way to do this is what they do in professional football. Every playoff spot where it's 12 or 16 has to be an auto qualifier. You get away from the politics, the polls, the computers, and the committees. The hell with this stuff. And let's go. We're already playing semi-pro football, as Larry said earlier. You guys talk about that just for a second, then we can go right to the Falcons, if we may, please.
Yeah, I don't mind answering that. I think again, in theory, you are correct. That would be the best way. But you can't do that because there's too many teams in the FBS. And they aren't on the same level. Georgia State is nowhere near Georgia Tech or Georgia's level in terms of recruiting, money, bankroll, all the above, fan base, all of it. So you can't do that and for those simple terms. Unfortunately, Todd, I agree with you. I think that should be done. I think if you're in the FBS, you should have a crack at a national championship no matter what. I think you should figure out a way to regionalize the sport. And I do think that will come, but it may take 20 or 30 years. But we all think it's coming. We think there's going to be about 60 Power 5 teams left. We think they'll separate. And then I think you will truly get a college football playoff that resembles the 12 or 13 or 14, 15, 16, whatever the hell they end up doing. Best teams in the country. So I would love to see that. I just don't know how you do it fairly because right now, let's face it. Yeah, I mean, okay, the Big Ten and the SEC are the 2 best conferences, but it isn't right to take up eight of the 12 spots with two conferences. That's just not right to other college football. So you got to figure out a median in the middle. But yes, Todd, I think everybody would love to see that. We just got to figure out a fair and a way to do it on the field so these guys in Grapevine, Texas aren't costing a 13-0 conference champion, Florida State, a spot at a title. So I'd love to see it figure out some way to do it. Larry, your quick thoughts on this, and Wayne too, and then we'll go to the Falcons.
No, I think you're correct. I think what's going to end up happening, though, even if you try, is you're going to have an Indiana like last year, or an Arizona State like last year, who come out of nowhere and finish with an undefeated schedule or an undefeated record, and then you have no choice but to put them in, and even to the ACC point of SMU last year, SMU and Miami both got there to the end, and everybody was playing tiddlywinks. Well, if you go that route, to me, what determines who gets in is your play on the field. It shouldn't be any other reason, any other way, any other nothing. It's like the NFL, if you go, 12-4 now, I think it is, or 13-4 now, you're probably going to qualify for a home game, if not 2 home games, and win the division. So people try to do too much And it's all what TC says all the time, and they try to do too much. And the reason they do is because they want their cut of the money. And that's what it's all about, bottom line. It ain't about picking a true champion. It's not about letting the players, these young men, decide who's going to win on the field. It's about who can make their pockets bigger the quickest.
Larry's right. Each conference is covering its ass, trying to get his team in there via the money for the conference, because that's what the return is the money.
100%. Wayne, final thought on that real quick. Would you like to see that that playoff style Todd is mentioning?
Well, as far as college football these days, and, I'm one of the guys that wants to go back to the super old thing where you play all your games, play your bowl games, and then you vote for number one. So really, I'm to the point now where I'll watch the games I want to watch, and I'll cheer for the teams that I want to win, and I'll go crazy complaining about bad calls and enjoying every minute of it.
I love it. I love it. Well, guys, we move from college football to the professional level. Falcons players are expected to report to training camp July 23rd. What storylines do you want to see during training camp? Wayne, we'll start with you, man, the ultimate fan. What are you looking forward to this upcoming training camp and this campaign moving forward for the Atlanta Falcons?
Well, I've seen the recipe, and I know who's cooking. But honestly, I'm going to have to wait till that first game, first play from scrimmage, and see what this pudding tastes like.
I love it. Short and sweet, baby.
Yeah.
Larry, what you got, man? What are you looking forward to in the Falcons' upcoming training camp?
4 points. Number one, if Penix continues to do what he did toward the end of last season, the kid is going to be a stud. I just believe it with everything that I have. The question I have for him, is he going to be mature enough to handle all the media press that is going to come talking about Kirk Cousins and what he did not do last season? That's number one. Number two, the dual head monster that was draft picks in the first round of Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. Are they going to come like fire-breathing dragons and add and make up to Wayne's metaphor? Are they going to be the ingredients in the kitchen that is going to help produce the banana pudding that everybody been wanting to eat for the last 15 seasons?
Yeah.
I'm hungry. You're killing me here.
I'm telling you, are they going to put the other team's quarterback on his butt? That's what we want to know. The defense. They've done. Look, Terry Fontenot has done what he said he was going to do. Now, are the coaching staff going to coach him up and get them to where they need to be? Number three, they've got some big-time money decisions to think about when it comes to Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and Bijan Robinson. All of those are going to get ready to start coming up on big-time deals. We see what the Jets did with Garrett Wilson. So Drake's number's going to start there. So we know that's where it's going to come. And the chemistry that you're starting to see between Penix and Drake has been phenomenal. We don't want to mess that up. Last but certainly not least, you got to win this division. There is no if, no ands, or no buts. On paper, you are better than Tampa. You are better than Carolina. And you are dadgum better than New Orleans. There should be no excuses as to why you cannot win this division. And you should win by more than 10 games. It should be at least 11 or 12 win season. And that is, to me, not even being unrealistic. To me, those are realistic expectations.
I like it. I like it. A lot of mine were the same. I left them. I went with the defensive position. I'm anxious to hear what Todd has to say. Todd, what are you looking forward to for this Falcons training camp and team moving forward?
Oh, my gosh. This is history just falling and tugging. And Larry, 2 years ago, got a ride with Ritter. He's going to do it. What happened? The accident fell off. The train went off the track. And Coach Smith got what? F-I-R-E-D. Now we bring in Cousins. Spend a ton of money. They know he wasn't totally healthy from the Achilles. They put him out there. He did okay. He got hurt his shoulder. He wasn't moving well. He didn't play well down the stretch. Here comes another rookie quarterback. I'll buy it. He's got a really good arm. But he is very, very injury prone. Look at Michael Penix's injury history in college. It can fill out a freshman's medical chart for a paper. So there it is. Can the offensive line protect him? I don't know. He's a rookie. He's only played 3 games. Guess what? The Atlanta coaching staff, just like Smith, just like the current staff, is relying on a rookie. Prediction. The accident falls off the track. They only win about 8, 9 games. They don't make the playoffs, and they start all over. Or he gets hurt early. Kirk Cousins comes in there, plays his ass off, saves the team, and then he ends up winning the job, and maybe they make the playoffs, maybe they don't. I don't believe they're the best team in this division. You've got to beat the champ to become the champ, and that's Tampa Bay. They have the best quarterback in the division. It's not even close. Well, best quarterback that's actually playing. The Falcons may have the best quarterback in the division now that he's finally and fully healthy in Cousins, but they're hell-bent on playing him. So that, to me, is the number one story. The defense, Larry said it, it should be much improved. It really should be. But can they get to the quarterback? They haven't got to the quarterback at all in the history of this franchise. So where do you expect anything to really be different? We don't know. But the 2 kids they drafted, should help them immensely. The roster is no doubt better than it was a year ago. But I'll say it again. Young head coach, young quarterback, what does that usually spell in the NFL? I know. Washington had a young quarterback last year. He tore it up. He did, but he could run and throw.
So did Bo Nix. Justin
and
Herbert came into the league tearing it up. Lots of recently. Jalen Hurts has been to 2 Super Bowls already. You've had a lot of
Philadelphia.
Look
at the Philadelphia team. They have an elite offense.
This point is still made. There have been a lot of young quarterbacks that have had a lot of success in very recent years. So the Falcons are going to hang their head on that. The Falcons don't. If you let me talk, I promise we can have a conversation on this. I'm just simply saying that there's been recent success from young quarterbacks in the league in the last 4 or 5 years, and you've seen, again, Jalen Hurts win a Super Bowl, lose a Super Bowl. You've seen Justin Herbert come back, win a playoff game. You've seen a lot of recent success. We saw Jaden Daniels go to the NFC title game. Josh Allen, the young quarterback, won a lot of games early on in his career. So you've seen the success early. Pat Mahomes, right out the gate, AFC title, loses to Brady in his first full year as a starter. So in the last 7, 8 years, you've seen a lot of recent trends in the right direction. So you can, as a Falcons fan, you should be able to hang your hat on that. What I'm looking forward to, I think it's also on the defensive side of the ball. I think it is about getting to the quarterback. You have 2 Georgia players at the linebacker. You have Walker and Floyd. How are they going to react together? How are they going to play together? Braylon Trice, who was injured all of last year, I'm anxious to see what he does on the defensive line. But I'm really interested in the nickelback. There's a lot of passing in this new age NFL. D. Alford had that position last year. He was up and down in that position. They drafted Bowman Jr. They brought in Mike Ford again. Those 2 are also going to compete for that nickel spot, and I think that's one of the most interesting spots in all of training camp. Our friend of the show, Will McFadden, talked about it on AtlantaFalcons.com. Go check out his article. I'm sure Wayne will provide a link to it in the YouTube there. And he talks about everything he likes to see in training camp. But, yeah, Todd, no doubt about it. The history you have mentioned is correct, and we all know that as fans. But the fact of the matter is last year, and this year is this year, and Michael Penix did play extremely well.
You make really good points about the history of the success of young quarterbacks, okay? But look at you mentioned Mahomes.
I didn't even mention Bo Nix.
Right. Yep. Mahomes, you mentioned. He's an elite quarterback. He's got an elite roster around him. You mentioned the Philadelphia quarterback. He has an elite offense and defensive line. Does Jalen Hurts. And they got the number one running back in the NFL. You mentioned Bo Nix, a much improved Denver team. These teams that you mentioned, even the Washington team from a year ago, their roster is light years ahead of the Falcons roster currently. Now, there's some unknowns. These young players may play really well, but that Falcon O-line hasn't protected the quarterback where the diddly poo, and you have a quarterback who has a medical history that is really large in Penix, and then you got a guy coming off Achilles at 30, whatever in the hell he is, 37 years old, who may be the best quarterback on that roster. Penix was very inconsistent. That's what rookies are, and he's only played 3 games. And when you have too many ifs and buts in the NFL, the L reigns, and I like Tampa Bay to win this division.
Sure, but to piggyback with you and to be conversational, the Falcons beat Tampa Bay twice last year. So the Falcons have the pedigree, they have the roster to do it. They just haven't figured it out yet. Raheem Morris, new defensive coordinator in Ulbrich. I really like his scheme with this athletic, fast defensive line. Again, I think Braylon Trice is going to be a huge key. What does he do with the Atlanta Falcons moving forward? How will he look in this base 3-4 defense? You got Street back, you got Harrison, Troy Anderson, who's a football know-it-all, got hurt last year. There's a lot of talent on this team. And if they put it together, you got a pretty good secondary with A.J. Terrell, Jesse Bates. I think there's a lot of good pieces to hang your hat. Todd, I disagree with you. I don't think the Falcons are that far behind. I think you saw it. They went to overtime with the NFC runner-up and the Redskins. Excuse me, I still call them the Redskins. The Commanders, and they beat the Super Bowl champions in Philadelphia with their now backup quarterback. So if you're a Falcons fan, you definitely have to be excited. And I want to bring Larry in. Let's be conversational. Let's bring Larry in.
Because
as well. So let's get Larry in here if he has any final thoughts on this, and then we'll go from there. Larry, go ahead and say your pieces, man.
No, it's no, and I'm listening. So last year, and it's kind of been this way for about the last 3, even 4 years. Because even through Marcus Mariota's time, Desmond Ritter's time, Atlanta beats the teams that they aren't supposed to beat and lose to the teams that they are supposed to beat. Case in point, how in the world are you go on a Monday night and barely beat the lowly Las Vegas Raiders by what, a point or two? You turn around and get beat by the Carolina Panthers and Bryce Young's coming out party. You get beat by the stinking dirty Swamp Saints when you're supposed to mollywop them, but then you turn around and you beat these teams that you're supposed to lose to. We're done, I am, talking about Kirk Cousins' line about what he did. It's over and done with. It's in the past. It's a wrap. The whole point of any starting quarterback is to keep the next man at bay. Because if you lose your job 9 times out of 10, you don't get it back. So simple and easy. Yeah, so simple and easy. If Atlanta beats the people that they're supposed to beat, they're a 10-win team. If they do the Jekyll and Hyde that they ordinarily do, then here we are, 8-9 again for like the 5th year in a row. And Terry Fontenot's probably gone. Raheem Morris is on the hot seat. Here we are again, twiddling our thumbs to another offseason. So you've got probably some of the best skill position players in all of the NFL, and your wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, QBs. Your DBs, we know what you got. The ingredients are there. But can the cook and the chef produce a meal that the fans want to enjoy? That's my final thought.
Speaking of the meal, they played Tampa Bay in week 1, man. I mean, that right there is going to tell a lot. And then they go to Minnesota.
Absolutely.
Go to Carolina. Then they get the gauntlet Washington, Buffalo, Frisco is going to be a lot better this year. I mean, they then they've got, every game in this league is difficult. I mean, their schedule's not brutal like some of the other schedules in the National Football League, based upon obviously a year ago. But, the start is so critical. Of course, last year, you guys know they got off to a great start, and then, then the accident went. We all know what happened. The accident happened. So, I mean, they're going to have to prove it to me, guys. And history, unfortunately, is on my side. But Larry,
we can't disagree. We can't disagree there. You're right there. The history is not on the Falcons' side. Wayne, any final thoughts on the Falcons, buddy, before we get out of here?
No, man, I'm ready to eat.
Let's go talk about the Major League Baseball All-Star Game is over. That means the All-Star break is almost over. We start baseball back on Friday afternoon. What are some storylines you're looking forward to during the second half of the season, guys? We'll speed this one up. We'll talk about that real quick, but let's talk about this All-Star Game. It was in Atlanta. Your thoughts on the All-Star Game, Todd, real quick.
Look, the game was fine. The best pitcher in the game, hands down, is Skeens. No question about it. It's a shame he plays for the Pirates because they have a good rotation. If they could get some hitters, this team would be extremely dangerous. Look, I'm not a fan of the pitcher being mic'd up. You can see it at Corder, Todd. I tweeted it out. I'm old school. I know times have changed, but I'm not a fan of the endless interviews. The ABS system is ridiculous. The players mic'd up is ridiculous. The game is played by humans. It's the players and coaches. We all make mistakes. The umpires make mistakes. The replay system makes mistakes. The last ABS challenge in the ninth inning last night was borderline pitch. I mean, I hate there's no extra innings. Add some extra pitchers to the game. And I absolutely, for the first time in the history of Major League Baseball, we decided the game on a swing-off a la home run derby. What am I in my backyard when I was a kid in Flint, Michigan, playing wiffle ball? It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, I love the tribute to Hank Aaron, the best player who ever suited up, in my opinion, and I love the national anthem. But we got to get rid of the Jazz, man. It's ridiculous.
Larry, your thoughts on the All-Star Game last night?
Yeah, man, Todd, to that point, the tribute for Hank Aaron, probably with the technology that we have in 2025, man, it's probably the single greatest production that I've ever seen on a baseball field. The way, the intricacies with the fireworks shot resembling the art once the ball was hit, his footsteps going around the bases as the video was playing. It was great. I'm the opposite TC. I kind of like it that way. I'm glad that they went back to their own jerseys for the first time in forever.
That.
I was done over the cartoon American National League jerseys. I was done with those. I was so glad to see them go to their own personal jerseys. I was glad of the interaction. The game was actually like they played and they cared about the game. Like they actually physically were playing the game and not like like a beer league softball 50 and over league match. It was an actual competitive game. So I enjoyed that. I'm looking forward to what the second half looks like. But man, if they keep this up, Philly, you got a hard, you got to step the game up because Atlanta came through with the everything that happened at the Battery during leading up to the game itself, the fans, everybody participating, the mascots, the futures, the HBCU Classic. It was just, it was great all the way around in my opinion.
It really was. I'll go real quick and then Wayne, we'll get your thoughts. I was able to get a ticket, as I mentioned earlier, and the Hank Aaron tribute, I don't think there was many dry eyes in the building. It was a beautiful tribute. The firework as the sound of the bat, the crack of the bat. It was a beautiful tribute. Billy Aaron was there, just bawling her eyes out, and probably happiness, probably half sad she lost her husband recently, and it's unbelievable what Hank Aaron means to Major League Baseball even this many years later. 7:15 on July 15th, which is pretty cool. Game was awesome. Energy was awesome. Tomahawk chop every time a Brave came up. Matt Olson made a great play to keep the game alive for the National League. Otherwise, it might have been over, and the American League would have just added another tally. I like the ABS system. I thought it was cool. It's going to give you an idea of the future. I don't think it takes a long time. It's very soft. It's very subtle. And if you're not paying attention, you don't even know what happened. Screwball took advantage of it in the first inning, was able to get an all-star game strikeout. And all he did, just a simple tap of the hat. I like it. I think it's better for certain situations. I agree with both sides of you guys and seeing the old school aspect of it. I agree. But some of these umpires, when you're having a bad day, you're having a bad day. But most of these umpires get the call right about 95 to 99% of the time. It's pretty ridiculous how good they are. But yes, I do think the game needs to speed up. We are all about speeding the game up. That game was right at 4 hours last night. It is exciting. The swing off is cool, but it's got to happen more fluid and quicker right after the game. It seemed like the players were like, what's going on here? So very, very cool All-Star game and fun to be a part of it. Wayne, your quick thoughts on the All-Star game that was here in Atlanta.
Well, it was definitely a unique All-Star game just because of historical aspects of tributes and the way the national anthem was performed. The production was entertaining, but again, I wish that it still had an impact on who has home field advantage for the World Series.
I like that idea. I think that was one of the best ideas in sports. But let's move on. Let's look at from what we're looking at in the second half of the season. I'll throw this one up and start it off. From the local standpoint, you got to ask it, do the Braves have enough time to turn it around? I don't know if they do. Two players that's going to depend on is Michael Harris and Ozzie Albies. Can they turn it around? They're two of the lowest ranked players in terms of batting qualifications. One's ranked 153, one's 163. That's Albies and Harris, respectively. So they're two of the worst hitters that qualify in baseball out of 170 players. And it's crazy because Ozzie Albies is a career 265 hitter. You haven't seen this from Michael Harris. Underperforming, his lowest OBP of his career, only 10 walks, 77 strikeouts. In terms of the Braves, they're doing that too often. They're creeping up towards the highest team in strikeouts, and that's not where you want to be in that category on the batting side. They're at 819 total on the season. So I don't think the Braves have enough to turn it around. That's what I'm looking forward to for a local standpoint. Nationally, Todd, I bet we're going to have the same thing. Can these Tigers make a World Series run? Are they really this good? 482 runs scored. That's top 7, 6th in MLB. 369 team ERA. That's top 10 in Major League Baseball. They whacked the ball pretty good. 124 home runs on the season. Got frontline pitchers in Scooble, Flaherty. They got Mize, who is getting their wins. Flaherty's their innings eater guy, along with Screwball. Look, 10 wins, 9 wins for Screwball and Mize, who has come around really. It's Reese Olson as well, the local kid from Gainesville, Georgia. He's 4-3, 2.95 ERA across 11 or 12 starts, that is. So Detroit, currently the betting favorite, Todd, to win the AL pennant. Second best odds to win the World Series with plus 700 with the New York Yankees. Todd, can you believe it? Is that what you're looking forward to in the second half of the season as well?
Well, to me, I don't care who the ball club is. It's going to come down to 2 things. 3, actually. 1, the frontline pitching health. Whoever has the healthiest staff is going to do the best in the playoffs and to get to the playoffs. 2, the trade deadline. What GM is going to go all in and step in and do it? Derek Jeter mentioned it last night. He said Brian Cashman's all in. we'll see if the Yankees are really all in. I mean, you look at it, it's all about, I know the game has changed. We've had the bullpen show and this and that, but it's about the Dodgers last year. They slugged their way to the title. What everybody forgets, they had enough front line pitching, the 5 guys or 4 guys, whatever the rotation is in the playoffs, they were pitching the best, and that's why they won it all. Who's going to step in and do it? You mentioned the Braves. What, they're 9.5 behind the final wild card participant. Detroit was like this a year ago. They came and did it. They even traded Flaherty, who they got back this year as a free agent from the Dodgers, traded him away, and he was their number 2 guy, and they still made the playoffs. Now, the odds are the Braves aren't going to make it this year unless AA comes out and makes these moves. But to me, like they said in Major League, bring out the pooper scooper because this team's about done. So done. And unless the guys all of a sudden start hitting, like it says on the back of the baseball card. You guys have already mentioned the names. I don't need to mention them again. But bring out the pooper scooper because I think this team's in big trouble. You're going to see the teams ahead of them before the trade deadline make the move. But health of your frontline pitchers it's going to be instrumental. It's going to be critical. And look at Boston. Look out for Boston in the second half of the season. They've won 10 in a row. You look out for Milwaukee and the National League. They're just a game behind Chicago. I mean, to me, Major League Baseball with the 12 slots, 6 in each league, to me, it's really a toss-up. Once you get in the playoffs, anything can happen.
Larry, what you looking forward to in the second half, man? And we'll give Wayne the final thought.
Yeah, I won't dive into it too deep. I mean, Todd, you gave some great points to me. And I'll give you three points for me is number one, the trade deadline. That's usually the next big thing that people look forward to once the All-Star game comes and goes. And it is for me. And I've got a special investment in it only because with the amount of pitchers that have went down in Atlanta, will AA try to pull a move to get some arms? Because as TC just said, if you don't have enough frontline pitching, I don't care who you are, you're not going to go very deep in the playoffs. To his point about Milwaukee, and Freddie Peralta in the game that he's had, is he going to be still a Milwaukee Brewer at the end of July? You got Minnesota's Joe Ryan, who's another trade chip that's been sprinkled around here on MLB Network and whatnot. So that's number one. Number two, will the Blue Jays continue to do what they've done so far in the first half of the season? They paid Vladdy Jr. his money. He's rallied around everybody else and got them playing some good baseball. Will Aaron Judge end up finally winning a batting title? The Yankees are 2, maybe 3 games behind them. So the AL East is going to be a very tight race toward the end of the year. And last but not least, will the Los Dodgers, be the Los Dodgers and continue to do what they continue to do with Shohei and Freddie and the gang and trying to send Clayton Kershaw off on a bang with what many people think will be his last year in a Dodger uniform. He'll probably hang up after what has been a stellar career for him. So those are my regular season things to look forward to in the second half of the season. I think the race to the pennant is going to be quite an interesting one this season.
Agreed 100%. Wayne, your final thought on Major League Baseball and what you're looking forward to in the second half? Maybe your Rangers catch some fire as they need it, just like the Braves.
Yeah, well, the Braves and the Rangers have been playing similar, where they don't necessarily win more than 3 or 4 games in a row. I think Atlanta had one long winning streak, 6 or 7 games, but Texas hadn't gone more than 2 at a time. So I really like Texas's chance to get into the playoffs better than Atlanta, and it has to do with the conference that they're in, and because 1 or 2 games, you can go from 3rd to 1st in the AL West, whereas the NL East, I think it's harder to climb. Each step is a harder step to take. But as far as AL goes, I'm still riding with Texas. And as far as National League, I would really like to see the San Francisco Giants win that division and do solidly in the playoffs.
That'd be
Wayne, you
interesting.
mentioned, can I say something? JJ, you mentioned
Go
Texas,
ahead.
which is really interesting because they're only 4 back in the loss column. And, they haven't hit like the back of the baseball card. They've got Tyler Mahle on the 60-day IL. They got John Gray on the IL. Nathan Eovaldi's pitching. DeGrom's pitching. They got Jack Leiter. I mean, they got some guys, but they need to get that rotation healthy. And then you worry about DeGrom because, eventually, excuse me, he's going to, he's going to end up getting hurt. I mean, it's just a matter of time. Excuse me again, I apologize. And, they've got pieces. They just haven't been consistent as Texas, but they're only 4 back in the loss column. And if they go on a winning streak like Boston, well, my golly, they're right in it.
It's gonna be interesting in the second half. Lots to play for. The expanded playoffs keeps everybody alive just that much longer, unless you're basically the Colorado Rockies, who are 35.5 out. Other than that, you're pretty much in it, and pretty much everybody is still in it. But the Rockies are definitely about the only team that's mathematically almost already eliminated. So if your team's still kicking, hopefully you're watching your team turning around down the stretch in Major League Baseball. Guys, that ends it for our main topics. Let's get to our final thought of the evening. Wayne, tee us off, man.
Well, I don't have too much of a final thought other than, it's the middle of summer. It's really hot. If you're going to be outside doing stuff, just stay hydrated. I know these baseball players and training camp for football is starting up not too long, and those guys will be focused on trying to stay healthy while they're in camp, and hopefully they will.
TC, your final thought?
Oh my goodness, I don't even know where to begin. So I'll keep it really simple. My final thought is that Major League Baseball. We talked about the complaints and all that, and we don't like this and we don't like that. But JJ, they're not looking at myself and Larry's audience. We're up towards that bigger audience range where they're looking for the younger audience like you, not even Wayne's age group. They're looking from the 17 to 40-year-old range. They're trying to grab those fans. Those are the ones that will continue on with the game. They don't really give a rip what people I think, because that's not who they're curtailing to. And the game is changing. It is hard for me to watch all these changes. I don't like where he's going to only throw a couple times over to first base. I don't like the extra innings rule where we start with a runner on second base. And oh my God, I don't like it. It's not baseball that I've grown up and watched all my life. But again, as Larry and I have said to death, follow the money, and the money is with those age groups and the eyeballs on the television. And also, they're going to curtail to what they think than what I think, and they'll do anything to bring fans in the stands, and this is the way they think they should do it.
Larry, your final thought of the evening, my friend.
Kudos to the city of Atlanta, for the Atlanta Braves organization, for putting on just an absolutely wonderful spectacle for Major League Baseball and the fans of Major League Baseball. But if you'd have told me back in April that Atlanta would have fewer wins than the Marlins and just 2 more wins than the Pittsburgh Pirates, I would have taken that bet all the way to Vegas and put it on the newly founded Uno tables where they're going to start playing Uno in Vegas.
Yeah.
I just would have never thought that we would be at the position that we're in. This is not uncharted territory for an Atlanta fan. As a Braves fan, we saw this in 2017 too. This ain't nothing new. I'm just hoping that Ozzie Albies and Michael Harris II find a way to hit the way that they know how to hit and just live up to the numbers on the back of their baseball cards.
Okay.
I don't have any expectations for them to make the wild card, nor do I have any expectations for them to make the playoff. But if you can start ticking up and you start getting a little life back into this fan base after the way that they drafted in the MLB draft, you can get some excitement back flowing through the veins of Brave Nation. Shop on.
Hey, they get the Yankees this weekend. We're going to find out very quickly what the Braves do. You're right, Larry.
Yeah, my final thought, the last one of the evening, it's the Open Championship, aka the British Open. Tees off tomorrow morning, really early, actually in about 3.5 hours. They're teeing off Royal Portrush in Northern Ireland. Xander Schauffele looks to defend his title against Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, and the best golfers in the world. It's one of my favorite tournaments of the year. Links golf. You got to make your shots. You got to make your putts. And I tell you what, I like John Rahm to win it. He shot a third round 65 in his latest live golf tournament. So I think he has some good momentum. Folks, thanks for watching. ATL
Hey,
Prime
JJ, I got a
Sports.
great joke. I got 2 of them. I sent them to you. George's, 22 quarterback Stockton gone viral with fan questioning how old he is. One fan said he even looks like, because he's 22, he looks like he maxed out his 401k for the year. And then the funnier one was Dabo getting Brian Kelly, the LSU coach, confused with Brian Kelly of the Florida-Georgia line during his vacation on 30A down there in Destin. That is hysterical. Check that out on X. It's hysterical. I thought it ended with something funny, guys. I'm sorry.
That is pretty funny. Again, if you like the content, folks, give us a like, give us a follow, give us a review on Apple or Spotify. For Wayne in Memphis, Larry in Adairsville, Todd in Woodstock, I'm JJ Jurjevich right here in Lilburn, Georgia. We'll see you next week, folks. Get you one of these. 38 days.